Hey there guys, I really didn't want to make another video about this guy, just because I've made so many already, and it's just such a tired thing, and I'm not really like any kind of massive fan of him or anything like that. I just sort of occasionally enjoy his reviews, but it's just something that's got under my skin over the last few weeks. There's a lot of people out there on the internet now who are sort of starting to come out now at this point for some reason. I don't quite understand why it's starting to happen now, but it is. A lot of people who... The title's a bit misleading, I will admit that. Not so much haters of Confused Matthew, but people who obviously just don't care for his reviews and seem to have taken like personal offence to the way he reviews or the style he reviews or certain reviews that he's done. Now, if you're someone out there who's maybe done a response to one of his reviews, that's fine. You don't agree with what he's had to say, and you've just simply said your piece and simply said, "I don't agree, Matthew. Here's why." That's fine. The thing I kind of have something of an issue with is the way that a lot of people seem to have like branded this guy as a bad critic or someone who just doesn't understand films or doesn't understand movies and he hasn't got a clue what he's talking about or something. Just basically based on one or two reviews that he's done. It seems for the most part to have centred around his 2001 A Space Odyssey, Lion King review, and perhaps to a lesser extent his Minority Report review. People have seen those three reviews and they've just sort of assumed, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about at all. So, a bit of advice, if you're one of those kind of people out there. A few reviews of his that I would highly recommend. Kill Bill, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, Spider-Man 3, the Star Wars prequels, the Matrix sequels, Transformers, and The Golden Compass. Go and watch any one of those reviews and then decide whether you think this guy genuinely sort of understands films. Every critic will have the odd review here and there where they misfire, and I guess in the case of Confused Matthew, it was probably with his Minority Report review and his Lion King review. There also seem to be a lot of sort of myths going round. That he is under the impression that if people disagree with him, well then they're just being stupid and they need to shut up, or they're insane, or that it's just totally absurd. I don't really understand where this idea has come from, because Matthew has never said anything like that in his reviews. He's never suggested that anyone who disagrees with him is stupid. I'm just going to take an extract from his Lion King review, and this is the way I heard it. Just first of all, I've hated The Lion King from the moment I first saw it as a kid. I left the theatre back then completely astounded by what Disney had done to their once flawless succession of films, and instantly predicted that this film would be a phenomenal flop. Suffice to say, I was completely wrong. The film was a huge hit and still has a tremendous fan base even to this day. That's the way I heard it. Now I've going to give you a slightly altered version of that, because I think this is what you guys must be hearing. We all hate The Lion King, and have done since we first saw it as kids. We all left the theatre back then completely astounded by what Disney had done to their once flawless succession of films. We all instantly predicted that this film would be a phenomenal flop. Suffice to say, we were all completely wrong. Everyone was stupid enough to make this film a huge hit, and the film has a tremendous base of people who pretend to be fans of it even to this day. Is that the kind of thing you're hearing him say? I don't quite understand where this idea has come from. He does say we quite a lot when perhaps he should say I, but I think that's kind of a minor point. There is also this kind of myth that he thinks everyone should feel the same way he does. The major thing this seems to stem from, once again, is his Lion King review. Again, the way he uses the word we quite a lot. I think he mentions at one point that we don't like Simba, when in fact the correct term would have been I don't like Simba. But is it really so bad for Matthew to think that there may be other people out there who feel the same way he does? He's not so much believing that other people should feel the same way he does. He just sort of thinks people should feel the same way he does, as I think most people would probably take that attitude. He doesn't understand why people would feel differently from him, and I think that's just human nature. The weird thing, for me personally, I know a lot of people obviously don't feel the same way I do, but I think I actually kind of enjoy the reviews I disagree with a lot more. I think it sparks up a lot more discussion. I mean, you imagine for a moment Matthew starts up a positive review of The Lion King, He's really just going to be stating the bleeding obvious, the things that we all know and have known for years. It's a lot more interesting, to go against the grain and express a different attitude from what we're used to. It might enable us to see things from a different perspective. I actually really enjoyed his No Country for Old Men review, not because I in any way feel the same way he does about the film, but because I love the film. It actually sort of helped me to better understand just how great a film it is. Again, I don't really understand why Matthew hates it, but it helped me to better appreciate the great elements of the film that Matthew just sort of seems to gloss over for some reason. Except for the epilogue. I didn't really understand what he was getting at in the epilogue, but the review itself was actually kind of enjoyable from my perspective. But I can appreciate that a lot of people who, like me, love No Country for Old Men probably don't feel the same way as I do. But why would Matthew feel that everyone should agree with him? Why would he be so convinced that people do feel the same way he does? His basic attitude or style or gimmick as a reviewer is to review films that he knows damn well tons of people out there like, and he knows damn well that he's in the minority in disliking them. He's well aware of the fact that a lot of people out there love The Lion King, that a lot of people out there love No Country for Old Men, that a lot of people out there love 2001: A Space Odyssey. He's well aware of the fact that he's very much in the minority, so why would he be convinced that everyone feels the same way he does, or that people should feel the same way he does, when he is well aware of the fact that that is not the case? A lot of people also seem to be attacking Matthew for this way that he attacks Roger Ebert for liking Minority Report. I would agree that on this occasion it probably was going a bit too far on Matthew's part to attack Roger Ebert for feeling differently about the film than he does. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I can only think that he probably did it because he probably knows damn well that Roger Ebert is never going to see that review, and therefore in the long run it's not really going to matter. But if it's not okay for Matthew to attack Roger Ebert for feeling differently about Minority Report, why is it okay for you lot to attack Matthew for feeling differently about other films? Where is the difference between Matthew attacking Roger Ebert and you attacking Confused Matthew? I don't see the difference. What I don't really understand is the way that people seem to have branded this guy as a bad critic based purely on the Lion King review and nothing else. Like I said before, go and check out some of his better reviews, like I recommended earlier in the video, and then see what you think of him. A couple of specific things from the Lion King review that I also want to address before I finish. He mentions at the beginning of the Lion King review that he predicted that the film would be a phenomenal flop. A lot of you seem to be under the impression that he was predicting the film's box office numbers, which is certainly not the case. He never mentions the box office in that review whatsoever. He was merely suggesting that the film would be a critical flop, that people wouldn't like it. I mean, basic logic would state, I didn't like the film, therefore other people probably won't like the film either. He's merely assuming that other people are going to feel the same way he does. Another thing about the song Be Prepared, Matthew says that he thinks it's pointless. From a plot and perhaps even a character development standpoint, it was a bit pointless actually. It doesn't actually give us that much new information. Scar is using the hyenas to take over Pride Rock, and he's planning to kill Simba and Mufasa. Probably was established fairly well from that dialogue just before the song starts up and the scene in the elephant graveyard just before that. So in that sense, the song was a little bit pointless. What Matthew doesn't seem to understand is that songs, particularly in Disney films, aren't really there to give us exposition or advance the plot in any kind of major way. They're just there to be enjoyed as songs. Now, don't get me wrong, I totally disagree with Confused Matthew's Lion King review. I think he must be like the only person on the entire planet who thought Timon and Pumbaa were evil. And it does kind of irritate me the way that there do seem to be a lot of people out there who are at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, at the complete other extreme of, they take so much stock in what Matthew has to say, they actually seem like kind of distraught or upset if they find that they were actually of a different opinion about a film, until Confused Matthew put them right about it. That they do seem to sort of take Matthew's word as law or something. Matthew says the film's bad, therefore it must be bad. They don't seem to have much of a sense of being able to think for themselves. Someone on one of his reviews saying that he was actually kind of nervous when Matthew said he was going to go and see a film. Ooh, I don't like the film. What if Matthew likes it? I won't be able to live with the possibility of Matthew having a different opinion to me. I wouldn't call myself any kind of massive fan of his. I just happen to have made a lot of videos about him for some reason. I guess I just have a lot to say about the guy. But to anyone out there who doesn't care for his reviews, that's fine, but don't just assume that he's a bad critic based on 1 or 2 reviews. Go and watch some of his better reviews, like I listed earlier in the video. See what you think of him then. Or alternatively, better yet, just simply don't watch him and, get on with your lives. You seem to have misunderstood this attitude that he has, that he thinks everyone who disagrees with him is idiots, when in fact he's said nothing of the sort ever. In fact, another extract maybe from his No Country for Old Men review, perhaps would be a good example of perhaps where this myth has come from, when he's talking about a scene where Anton Chigurh is searching Llewellyn's trailer. Basically, he's repeating Anton goes into the trailer and Llewellyn's not there over and over, and then he says, "Stop telling me to shut up. If you were happy watching this in the film, you should be perfectly happy watching a description of this." Perhaps that's where the idea that he thinks everyone who disagrees with him is an idiot and he's the only one who could possibly be considered right has come from, that he's essentially sort of saying, why don't you feel the same way I do? Why do people like this film? He's sort of challenging people maybe to explain to him why he should feel differently about the film than the way he does. He's not demanding that people feel the same way he does. He's simply asking, why don't you feel the same way I do? Okay, that hopefully will be the last time I ever have to cover the subjects of Confused Matthew. See ya.